On the radio, I can just tell you that all the trees down here have snapped limbs. They're split in half, some sort of damage to the trees. You've seen what the mess is. Now take a look at what the cleanup underway. That's the sound of neighborhoods at work today, clearing hundreds of trees from the roadways and yards. Barry Barfield was just a few feet away when this huge tree crashed down in front of his house.
There was a car coming up the street. We started to hear the cracking, so we waved it off, and it could have been right underneath this when it fell down.
That's still a danger. More branches are heavy with snow and ice. The ones over roads are a priority. The ones in parks are not. That means keep out. Sledding is at least the fun part of all this snow, but the Parks Department is actually asking people to stay out of the parks. You can see there are still power lines that are encased in ice, and once we get a thaw and a strong wind, more of these branches are going to come crashing down. City workers are helping the trees fall. Branches that are dangerously hanging over roads are cleared away with the big equipment. It's not pretty, but it's safer.
We're waiting for chainsaws so that we can clean it up. Right now, we just want to push everything off the street, and then we'll come back later with some chainsaws and cut it up and clean it up a little better.
And as you clean up, the city will help you get rid of those fallen tree limbs. One other warning to pass along to you from the city tonight. As we were out watching people clean up today, we saw a lot of people with all their trees, you know, ones that were stuck in power lines, and they knew those power lines were dead, and people were picking them up and scooting under them. A strict warning to you tonight that you shouldn't touch the power lines because they could come live again, and it's just a dangerous situation to get near the power lines. If your trees are in the power lines, leave it alone. If not, get them cut up and out of the way of other people. Randy and Deborah?
You bet. Just stay away from them. Thank you, Ma. You could take tree debris now to the following areas.
One of them is Joe Alvey Stadium, which is in West Spokane. You can also go to Manitou Park in the picnic area or to High Bridge Park. And once again, like Molly said, take those fallen tree branches and limbs to these areas, but they need to be cut down into 3 feet lengths because they will not take them if they are any bigger than that.
Now, reporter Dana Haynes.
Look at this sign up here on the wall up here. This monitors the activity in this room. Take a look at this next number coming up right now. Total calls received today, 13,184. Calls waiting right now to get in, 11. That shows exactly how busy they are down here. Now, it's estimated it will be into next week. That's 5 to 7 days before power is restored to everyone. Now, we caught up with 2 people as they headed into their blacked out apartment building. This is the video we shot inside the apartment building, black as night, but these 2 are prepared. We headed into their apartment where they're already stocking up on candle power.
So what did you get at the store to prepare you for this?
Oh, I think we're prepared for the next 3 days. So we've got candles and flashlights, everything we need.
Now, crews are out all over the valley and all over the region working round the clock. This was in the valley today, literally hanging from power poles most of the day. Now, if your neighbors have power and you don't, please don't get frustrated. What we have learned tonight down here at the call center is that some people may be on a feeder system that you're not on. You're on a different feeder, so that's why they have power and you don't. So be patient. They're working just as fast as they can. Randy, Deb?
Dana, is there any word? At one point, there were 37 of these feeder lines out. They'd only restored 1 at that point. It's devastating news. It's going to be next week now.
That's right. What's going on out there is that they are restoring these lines, and just as soon as they hang those lines, something will happen and they'll be snapped again. So it's just a frustrating effort out there, but they are trying just as hard as they can to get those lines up as quickly as possible.
All right, thank you. Dana Haynes reporting live from Washington Water Power.
Boy, those crews, you've got to have a big thank you for them. I mean,
Oh,
as
boy,
difficult as
they're
it
working
is.
hard.
Round the clock, Q6 in-depth coverage continues now with a look at the shelters where you can go, and you may want to do that tonight because temperatures are expected to drop into the single digits.
That's right, and it could be very deadly out there tonight. Now, the main one is the Spokane Convention Center. The Red Cross is now converting a portion of that into a shelter that will house as many as 700 people. That will open at 7 o'clock tonight. Now, the addresses of others are on your screen. They are the Airway Heights Community Center at 13120 West 13th Avenue.
In Millwood, the elementary school is open at 8818 East Grace. Diamond Fairs at 5201 North Regal is also open. And Libby Elementary at 2900 East First in Spokane is a shelter, as well as the gymnasium at Fairchild Air Force Base.
Now, the Moose Lodge at 6363 North Lidgerwood will be open as a shelter, and the Airway Heights Baptist Church is open as a shelter.
In Idaho, the Coeur d'Alene Seventh-day Adventist Church is open. It is 111 Locust Street.
Now, to shuttle yourself to those shelters, this is very important. You need to call this number, 456-2204. You can get shelter information at that other number, but to get to the shelter is 456-2204. The shelters are extremely vital, of course, to the elderly and people who need assistance.
Q6 reporter Lynn Rossi now with some help. Lynn?
Randy and Deb, these shelters can really be a lifeline for the elderly when it gets this cold in Spokane, and a lot of people are taking advantage of that. Now, here at the shelter at, at one of the shelters in Spokane, shelter saw a steady stream of people all throughout the day. People who need some extra help during this ice storm, from food to clothing or blankets, anything, it's here. Now, shelters provide warm things to eat and a warm place to sleep for people who have been without power now for hours and getting close to days. The Red Cross provides a safe and comfortable environment while power is being restored to Spokane. Now, around Spokane today, the ice storm hasn't stopped Meals on Wheels. 288 meals were delivered throughout Spokane today. Fortunately, the kitchen wasn't affected by the power outage. The warm meals were distributed right to the doorsteps of Spokane's elderly despite the snow conditions. Now, the volunteers who make the program possible love what it feels like.
It makes you feel kind of good because you may be the only person that recipient sees that day, and they're all always so appreciative.
Now, if you need a place to stay tonight, or if you know of somebody that needs a place to stay tonight, shelters are available for you. And just a note on the Meals on Wheels program, they have not missed a day of service since Mount St. Helens erupted back in 1981. Randy and Deb?
Quite a service. God bless them. Thank you. In Idaho, cleanup and coping was the theme of the day as well, bracing those bitter cold temperatures.
That's right.